Hello and welcome to another Euro 2024 preview brought to you by WhoScored. As ever, I'm Dan Worth and I'm your host, and I'm joined by Martin Laurence as we take a look at Spain versus Italy. Both teams got off to a winning start. Martin, let's talk about Spain first because theirs was a little more convincing, the 3-0 win over Croatia. I actually think they're looking pretty strong. And they are obviously, they are actually who scored highest rated team after the first round of fixtures. Are you as impressed by Spain as I've been?
Yeah, certainly. Like sort of stereotypically, I guess with the ball looked really, really good. I would have question marks over them defensively. I think on another day, Croatia obviously they missed a penalty, so definitely on another day they'd score, but like they'd maybe get one or two. Yeah, I think only one team. I think only Georgia conceded a higher XG than Spain from that opening round of games, and obviously a lot of that is the penalty. But I think we've seen in recent major international tournaments that they can be got at, which maybe is a bit of a surprise given that you've got arguably, I guess you have to say arguably, but in my opinion, definitely the best defensive midfielder or sitting midfielder in world football in front of an experienced defence. Experience is a word. I'm not sure they've got the best defence, and I think we see that. But like you say, that their attacking talent looks really, really exciting, right? And I think on paper they've got a really good midfield balance. They've got really good, obviously, attacking wingers, like exciting players. I think you'd have question marks over Morata still, but for Spain, I think he leads the line well. He played well in the first game. Obviously picked up a knock, so it'll be interesting to see if he starts this game. I think he's a doubt, but we have got him in our preview, as you can see. So yeah, they did play very well, generated a lot of XG themselves, and sort of deserved their 3 goals probably. So yeah, definitely looked like one of the stronger teams at the tournament. But I think when Croatia are a good side, so that was a hard opening game. But when they come up against even stronger attacking forces, which I guess you'd say Italy are, maybe not by a huge amount. I don't think Italy's attack is their strength, right? Again, I guess stereotypes. We're going along Spain pretty on the eye, and Italy strong at the back. But I think that is the case, and Italy's defence excites me is probably the wrong word, but like I think they're very well set, given they've been so sort of set defensively for best part of a decade previously. They've been very lucky that the churn of their centre backs has timed very, very nicely, because there's even centre backs that didn't make the squad, who I think, like Scalvini in particular from Atalanta, he's going to be an elite level centre back. So to have Bastoni, who's the experienced one at 25, Calafiori, maybe a surprise starter, but obviously had a fantastic season with high flying Bologna. But they've got Jorginho, who had a really good season at Torino as well, and is only 25. So yeah, they look good defensively, and obviously posed threats in their first game, but that was against Albania, so you'd read a little less into it. But yeah, both look in good shape. So yeah, I wouldn't select for this game. I think I'd favour Spain, but in terms of who's going to go deeper in the tournament, I might favour Italy personally. I've said previously, I think I said in the first episode, defence wins these tournaments. It won it for Italy last time out. It's won it for Portugal in the past, who drew their way to the trophy. So yeah, I think this will be a tight game. Fancy Spain in it, but yeah, I wouldn't write off Italy in the tournament just yet either.
Yeah, that's quite interesting that you said that about Spain are probably the better side, but Italy will go further. I mean, I definitely don't disagree with it, but it's quite an interesting way of putting it that I've not heard before. Obviously, Italy suffered a bit of a scare against Albania, like go 1-0 down. But I sometimes think the fight back is it will do them good. Like coming back and winning that game will do them good. And yeah, you've covered off the defence. I think it's very strong as you suggest, but this will be, I mean, it'll be a much harder test than Albania with Spain's firepower. Williams and Yamal wide, it's pretty exciting. And I think even the best fullbacks in the world will struggle to keep them at bay. So I think particularly Yamal and versus Demarco would be a very interesting head-to-head here. I would probably side with Yamal, but just because he's been so impressive. But yeah, I
So
think that
DeMarco's an attacking fullback as well,
yeah,
right? Like he's maybe not the best defensively, so yeah, he will need to be maybe a little bit more cautious than he would naturally in this game. So it would be interesting battle, like you say.
yeah, I think so. But another key, well, it will be a key battle, of course, and we've already kind of alluded to it, but it's the strength of Spain's midfield. I mean, I'm looking at Italy's midfield here as well, and I'm certainly not seeing a weak one. They also have a pretty good midfield, but Spain, particularly Pedri, Rodri, and Ruiz in the middle. Obviously, Ruiz, well, was fantastic in the opener, with a goal and an assist, as well as much more. Like, the midfield is likely to be where this game is won and lost. So I'm assuming by you saying you're siding with Spain, you think that Spain's midfield is much stronger. But what do you
Yeah,
make of that?
not necessarily much stronger, but certainly the stronger. I think these two teams probably got, in terms of their midfield, some of the best balance at the tournament. They've got a little bit of everything, and a lot of legs, and Italy will need those legs. Barella is the standout in their midfield. Obviously, I think he's top tier, like exceptional midfielder. Fratesi, a solid midfielder, and then Jorginho, who's got all the experience and come off the back of an excellent season at Arsenal, where he was probably quite unsung. So it's nice to have a sort of Man City Arsenal midfield battle in there as well. Not that they'll face each other too much, I don't think, in the game directly. But yeah, it's those midfields who allow for their sort of attacking talents to flourish. And I guess the one for Italy is Chiesa on the opposite flank to Yamal. So those sort of right wings will be crucial in this game, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of picked out Yamal versus Demarco. Like, Chiesa versus Cucurella is also a key battle because
Well, that was a
I mean, I've never been too excited by Cucurella. Maybe when he was at Brighton for a bit, but I think he's a little bit calamitous defensively. So
yeah
that could uh, be a nice opportunity for Italy on that side as well to get past and create chances. So yeah,
yeah
I'm with you that those two battles could be massive. The next point I wanted to talk about is Yamal. I've kind of already covered it up, covered over it. Sorry. I don't know if you have anything to add. There isn't really much more to say other than the fact that he is just an unbelievable talent at a ridiculously young age and already doing it on the biggest in the biggest games. Like, I don't know if there's
yeah.
any more superlatives you can add to talk about him.
No, yeah, I think like you said, alongside Ruiz, he was the sort of standout outfielder. Simon had got the WhoScored Man of the Match, had a great game, obviously saved the
Yeah,
penalty. But alongside Ruiz, he was the standout when you consider it's his major international tournament debut. The only unfortunate thing, not for Croatia, but the only unfortunate thing was he didn't get that goal. Very nearly scored, which would have been history. I still think history could well happen in this tournament in
yeah,
that sense. Whether it's this one, I wouldn't put my house on it or anything. But like we've said, Dimarco's an attack-minded fullback. So yeah, and he'll be sort of cutting in on that side that Calafiori, who doesn't have a lot of experience as well. So that could be the target. Cucurella was obviously a really interesting selection. I don't think many people would have expected him to start that game. Obviously, Grimaldo's had a sensational season with Leverkusen, but is extremely attack-minded, and maybe that was the reasoning. I know you said you don't really fancy Cucurella defensively, but he probably is that bit more solid defensively than Grimaldo. And for that first game against Croatia, and certainly this game against Italy, I think that's probably a reason why Cucurella started as well, to get him ready with this game in mind. Like, the plan was to play him against Italy, so to have him ready and have some confidence in him. And he did well enough against Croatia. Again, I agree with you. I'm not his biggest fan. I thought he was great for Brighton, but at Chelsea, it's not really worked out to date. But I think he is improving in that sense and becoming more important for them as well. So still a relatively young player, not young, but like still needs time to bed into a new system at Chelsea. And obviously that new system is fluctuating a lot.
yeah.
So not the easiest sort of setting to bed into when you've got about 56 new players and different nationalities to sort of acclimatise into your squad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I also think. Oh, this is the next point actually. That Italy have sort of gone under the radar a bit. Like, given that they're the reigning champions of this tournament, I appreciate you've already mentioned that they've had a fair bit of churn, like player churn from that winning side, and they do have an injection of a lot of youth. But we've already mentioned that their back line is pretty strong. Their midfield is pretty strong. I think you can still get them. I've got it up here, 18-1 to win the tournament. Bearing in mind, they've already got a win under their belt that they've had to graft for. Obviously, this game is going to be huge to see how good Italy actually are, and obviously, it's probably going to decide who wins Group B.
Mm.
But I do think that they've gone slightly under the radar, and at that price, I would potentially have a couple of quid on it. And you already mentioned actually that you think that they could go further than Spain in the tournament. So 18-1, using the odds checker grid seems quite big to me. But anything more that you can say? Do you think they're underrated, or you think they're about
I agree. Like,
favorites?
I'd fancy them in the knockout game, basically, more than I would Spain. And you'd back these two teams certainly after the opening games. Obviously, Italy, Croatia will be a big game, but you'd back these two teams to progress. And yeah, in a knockout game, I think Italy have as good a chance as any, really. Obviously, getting through, what was it, four knockout games or whatever to actually lift the trophy is difficult. They've done it before. So I wouldn't be saying they're among my favourites, but I would agree that maybe they are being a little bit overlooked. I think maybe in this country overlooked because England sort of qualified ahead of them quite comfortably.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't read too much into that. Tournament football is completely different, right? And there's a different set of pressures, and Italy have coped with those pressures in the past. I guess the question's again almost like the same with Spain, and there's comparisons to be drawn there for sure. Is the striker, the number 9, and they're relatively comparable strikers as well. I think good sort of target hold up strikers, maybe not the best finishers, but Scamacca's had a really decent season. Obviously with Atalanta, didn't play as probably as much as he wanted, but ended the season very well. So I'll come on to him in my bet builder tip shortly.
Nice.
But yeah, that would hold them back, I think, from being a top tier team that you'd fancy to win it. But they did it without a great number 9 4 years ago. Was it Immobile starting that time out? I think probably Scamacca now is better than Immobile was then, personally.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. Right, you mentioned it there then. Let's go straight to it. We'll go to our bet builder tips for Spain versus Italy. We'll be using the odds checker bet builder comparison tool as always, which allows you to put in your bet builder very easily and compare the prices across the best bookmakers in the market. Martin is going to kick us off with his bet builder, and we'll see what the price variance will be here.
Yep, no problem. I'm going to start with both teams to score bet, and I'm going to go yes. I know we've said that Italy's defence is strong, but I think Spain's attack is equally, if not more, strong. So I think that will counteract that. I don't see Italy keeping Spain at bay, and like I've said, I think you can get at Spain. Both these teams were 2 of the 8 teams that generated over 2 XG in the first game. So both looking good on the ball, maybe less so defensively, certainly from Spain's standpoint. I think the last 3 meetings between the teams have all seen over both teams to score, sorry. So that would be my first leg. As I alluded to there, I'm going to go for Scamacca, and I'm just going to go player shots rather than shots on target, just to play it slightly safer. Can be a bit wayward with his finishing. So I'm going to go Scamacca, and I'm going to go for 2+ shots for Scamacca. Like I said, he was sort of in and out of the team a little bit at Atalanta, but averaged 3.7 shots per 90 in all competitions. Had 3 in the first game, and he's had at least 2 in 11 of his last 12 games for club and country. So 2 shots against the defence that is sort of relatively vulnerable, I think is safe enough for me to take on. And then my last leg is a card. Love a card market. And the obvious player for me in this market is Robin Lenormand, who got 17 cards in all competitions, I believe, in Spain this season, 13 in 28 La Liga starts. So won every other game basically, up against a big physical presence in Scamacca. So yeah, he's going to be my card bet. Rodri might have been sort of up there had he not got booked in the first game. Other than that, I don't see a huge amount leaping out to me in terms of the card market for this game. So I'm going for Lenormand. I can't say that for some reason. And I'm putting a French accent on it, just sort of guessing that it is a French French accent that's required for the situation. But yeah, as we can see, that's 17-1 best odds for that bet. So again, just to recap, both teams to score, Scamacca 2 or more shots, and Lenormand to be carded. 17-1 best price. It's available with all the bookmakers that we have in the Bet Builder comparison tool, and as low as 7-1 elsewhere. Wow. So again, more than double the price this time with BetMGM, best price, and have a little bit of a lead over the competitor set in the market for this one. So yeah, I like the look of that very much, and I'll hand the reins to you. See if you can.
Nice.
Usurp
me.
I
mean that variance is huge, and I have a slight feeling that in the popularity contest of the two of our bet builders, you might win this one. So yeah, I actually like that bet a lot. I have taken a slightly different approach though, which is probably nice for listeners and viewers to see the other side of it. I'm starting off for Spain to win. Again, it kind of explains itself, and I think at odds against, like, it's a very good start, like a good base to this bet builder. I just think generally Spain is stronger than Italy, like, which it is all of the argument I need here. Italy were a little bit underwhelming against Albania, and Albania did cause them problems. We've already spoke about how Spain can cause Italy problems, and I think they'll be more effective than Albania. So I think Spain to win is a nice start here. I've gone very rogue in the next one, and I've gone with Alvaro Morata to be carded.
Okay.
He committed 2 fouls against Croatia and made 3 tackles. So you know he's quite active in the press, and I imagine he will do the same here. Like the likes of Jorginho and Barella, trying to keep control of the ball. Morata will be in and amongst, clipping ankles. He wasn't booked in the last game, which I think is a massive plus here, because he'll probably be being told, go and do what he did in the last game, and we'll know in the back of his mind that if he does make an extra foul or overstep the mark, that he can get a card and not miss the next game. So yeah, a little bit rogue, going with a striker to be carded.
Don't mind it at all, mate.
Yeah, you can see the impact it's had on the odds, which is also why I wanted to do it, because it gives a nice bit of juice there. And my final leg is a player that I've spent nearly 20 minutes just talking about how amazing he is, and it's Lamine Yamal. I've gone for over 0.5 shots on target here. Again, I've already covered off all the rationale in this show, to be honest. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and he's coming up against DiMarco, who I think he will get the better of. And I can see him easily getting 1 shot on target. So that's my final leg. Looks like it comes in just short of 25-1 there, but as short as 8-1 elsewhere. So the discrepancy is it's 3 times the price. It's just it's crazy. And if you are fancying this bet, or even if you're not and you want to just put your own in there, if these bets come in and you've taken that lower price, you are not going to be very happy with yourself. So use this tool so that when you win bigger. Obviously, I do have to say, if you are betting, please do so responsibly, as always. But do use this tool if you're placing bet builders, because you don't want to miss out on those huge price discrepancies, as Martin and myself have just shown. Make sure you head to WhoScored for all of your stats that can inform these bet builders, or just give you all of the information you need to stay informed across the Euros and beyond. And just enjoy the football. There's loads of it on. It's no better time than a summer major international tournament. Thanks very much for joining me, Martin, and I'm sure I'll speak to you soon and catch you guys next time.